Oh, what's up? Well, here we are, man. Here we are, as we always are. Sitting here in the office on a day off, wondering what the fuck's gonna happen today. I haven't a goddamn clue, I'll be honest. I don't have a goddamn clue. But I do know that we've come to this point in which we find this base of thought that we're going to try to explore a little bit. If you remember in the last, I think it was the last one, Samhain special, I called it, I talked about what my grandfather and going and visiting his grave and leaving that rock there. Well, it's so cool. Now every time that I hold it, my mind goes back to that place, right? Because that's the point of this shit, right? That's the point of like physical objects for, we could call it ritualistic purpose if you really want to. It's to help you, right? It's an aid, it's a tool. Now, that's the memory of the stone. It's pretty cool, man. I went there on that day and it was cold and rainy on Halloween. And it was overcast sky. It's very English weather. And oh man, I loved it. But across the graveyard was a giant field. Some sort of crops had been cropped and had. So the wind was just really strong. So now whenever I hold that rock, I just see the grave. I feel the cold wind blowing, very loud wind, and just standing there under the trees. There's a bunch of pines all around me, evergreens. And out in the distance was a big oak tree. And so like that's just like every time I hold the rock now, I'm like, oh man, I get transported there instantly. And I kind of always imagine him now in a sense. So as I did that, I said to you like, yeah, I feel like something special is gonna happen, right? I feel something really like a day in a year. So a day later, I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I think I put in like 8 pages of work, 8 or 9. And it happened like nothing. And as I told you, I always return to that ruined temple. Eris is up in the mountains. He's having to seek shelter inside of this temple because there's some sort of strange tempest or some sort of strange gale that has come, and they're up high in the mountains that it could blow them off, so they go into this temple. And I don't know how many times I've written the scene of them in there, right? I've always just go into that temple and I just sitting there with Eris. I get to the typewriter, I start typing, and we're just sitting there, not knowing what to do. So I knew that this was some sort of thing in my life. I knew that. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm constantly returning to this once grand place that is now darkness, that is now forgotten, this once place that was seen so ritualistically, so monastically, whatever you want to say, like it was a very important place now gone. And here we are. Why do I keep coming here? We're up in the sacred mountains. We're in a sacred temple. We're by ourselves, sitting there with our own thoughts. So I try as hard as I can to not, I don't even know how to say this, man. I try not to allow myself too much into the work in real time. I understand that I'm working through things. I understand that I'm mirroring some real life things, but I try not to think of myself. I always stay true to Eris. I allow this to be his journey. But I don't know how many pages I've written of him sitting there thinking and trying ideas and my dreams. I would let Eris have those dreams as well, and I told you about the dreams. And the biggest one is the dream of the temple, where me and this guy, my conveyor, we go down to those caves and we meet the deity at the end. Well, I kept that in mind. And after I visited my grandfather, I was like, something's up. You remember how I told you it began, where Eris is telling Meteor, his mentor, about that dream and he's saying, Meteor is like, I think someone was in there trying to speak to you deep in that dream, and you didn't even notice he was there. And that's what sent me off in the thing on Halloween. Well, here I am now, and I wrote some more pages after that, and I thought, this guy, I've always had this strange thing where it's like, there's a successive line of people that's separate from what I call the line of Tan. And think of that as like the descendants of Adam. And imagine the descendants of Adam holding high office inside a structured society. If you want to think of it, Abrahamic wise. That's what Tan stuff is. But I'm like, what if there was this other line that's seen as cursed? What if there's a line of people that are descended from Tan as well, but somehow they were said to have gotten in contact with the devil, even though he's not the devil, but everyone's saying it is, right? Maybe there's some weird shit going on. Perhaps the people that are being told it's the devil are the ones actually being tricked, right? Kind of like real Abrahamic stuff. Now, I had this line, it began with Theseus, then it was Eclectus, Ravian, which I've mentioned before, then we have Neopak, and underneath Neopak is Eris. And I had some thoughts of like, well, maybe Eris is born from this guy, his real parents aren't his real parents. I'm confused about this right now. And then it dawned on me. I told you the whole, the letter N came up, and then it spelled the word Neopak. Well, Neopak happens to be the last man, which we would call the last keeper. And maybe he's in a dream trying to talk to Eris. And I said, well, what am I doing? I'm seeking my grandfather, right? Maybe Neopak's his grandfather. Maybe there's someone else inside of that. Neopak died the same year Eris was born. Now, you have to keep in mind, this shit all grew separate. As I'm telling you it now, I'm putting it together, but in the past, I just stream of consciousness of shit and just said, yeah, and then there's Neopak, and he lived and died at this time, and he was a keeper, and he was a follower of the Whisper. And followers of the Whisper were cursed people that were sent to the Murphos as a punishment, much like Ravian. And Neopak took over for Ravian, but where did Neopak go? And then it was like a whole bunch of things, and if you read book 1, I'm like, well, we never even mentioned Neopak. We were talking about Ravian and shit. So who goddamn knows? And I'm sitting here scrambling, trying to piece this all together because it's so many moving pieces. And while I'm solving the story of the book, at the same time I'm solving the story of my own life. So Eris has to go back into the dream alongside Meteor and actually take it in this time. And we went into that dream once again. But this time I was able to look at the shrines. And this is what's very interesting. Believe it or not, I don't give a shit. So the dream world is the place in which I first had this vision. And it took me there, and it was very foggy. It was very stream of consciousness. It's very much the same way that it works. I went in there, and a lot happened, and I wasn't able to decipher it truly. When I was in those vast cave networks, I was met by all these shrines and shit, but I didn't get time to look at who the shrines were to. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I wasn't able to think in the dream. I was only being. But once I went back in it, through the stream of consciousness, through the imaginary, through the writing process, I was able to slow the shit down. And Eris was able to take note that these shrines were not of deities, but of the stone themselves. Now the stone are the, in some sense, they're like the wild hunt in mythology, whether that be Norse or Celtic or whoever the fuck else has that concept. And there are these sacred warriors that are called upon. They are much like Arthur and his knights. They're dormant right now, and they're waiting to come back. And apparently those were the shrines to them. in there. And Eris went up to touch one, and the memory of a great battle came to him. Just a glimmer. It wasn't a whole lot. It was just like he touched it and he just saw the man on the horse. The horse was rearing, the man was screaming, there was shit going on in the background, and he fucking let go and he's like, holy shit. So I said, that's the wild hunt, right? That's the stone. That's the band of warriors that are used by demigods or some sort of divine kings for some sort of divine purpose. And we went way, way down, and I went to the deity in the writing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's Dove. I think this Dove encased in this stone body is the one speaking to Eris. You'll know Dove by the Forgotten series that's happening right now. So in the Forgotten series, he's still kind of, right before he gets into the great war with Theis, he's still kind of figuring shit out. So that guy is somehow thousands and thousands of years later trapped in stone. And Eris is speaking to him. And Dove was able to kind of guide Eris to go find his ancestor who's trying to communicate to him. And that's where I stopped. I stopped one day after Halloween. Well, after the first equinox. After the fall equinox or whatever they called it. So in that sense, I have paused myself, and I have much to dwell on here. But I was able to mirror it with my real life experiences based on visiting my grandfather. Now, I don't know where to go from that point, as usual. It's a lot of this stuff is just I'm so in the dark with it, but I'm finding it. It's just, there's no clear roadmap. There's no clear path forward in all this. So I don't necessarily understand the complexities of all this shit. But I know its vast importance, and that importance has left an imprint upon me. So, with all that being said, here we go once again, back into the writing journey. We're going to enter through Eris, and Eris is going to, through his own imaginary, come to find his ancestor, who seeks to speak to him. But I have an idea. As I say all the fucking time, everything I do is going to be mirrored in the book. Well, if this stone transports me, this is not a good time. If this stone transports me, I'm going to be sneezing a lot, damn it. Oh, it's happening. Are we done? I'm gonna look like shit because I keep sneezing, okay? This stone transports me to my grandfather, right? Well, what if Eris has that too? What if he receives this pendant that allows him to be transported to the relative of his? Oh, crikey. Oh, man. This happens every morning. Too much coffee. We're gonna have to pause. Can I do this? Am I able to speak without sneezing? We'll find out. But I have found that stone, and I gave one to my grandfather, and now I have one. And as I was saying, it transports me to him when I need it. And I feel that very strongly. So I said, why doesn't Eris receive one of those pendants? And why don't I connect that pendant to the Serpentine Order? where they can steal it away and use it for their own purposes. Holy fuck. There we go. So that's kind of where we're at. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best, but I sneeze like 30 fucking times. It just happens. If I have too much coffee sometimes, I just start sneezing like a motherfucker. Oh, it's horrible. Or if I eat too okay, then all of a sudden I have all these fucking problems. My nose starts to get plugged up, my throat gets itchy and stuff. I might be allergic to something I'm eating. Maybe I'm becoming allergic to sugar. I don't know. Oh, I'm about to be punished, I can tell you that. That's what that being was saying to me. Something that I'm putting in my body that I'm being punished for, and this is probably it. Okay. So that's kind of where we are with the book and what we're going to be doing today, or at least trying to do today. I can't say what's going to happen at all. I don't even know. I don't even know who I am. But I do know that we will be venturing towards this goal here. And I can't truly believe that there will be an easy outcome to this, that I can just easily solve these fucking problems. You know, this is going to take some time for me to truly discover, to truly figure this all out, or out, depending if you're Canadian or not. Now, oh, I lost so much momentum from all that sneezing. It takes it out. Anyway, that's the goal for the day. That's what we're going to be trying to do. We have a whole hell of a lot ahead of us. But at the same time, we're going to try to dig back into... Oops. Oh, my back. Oh, it hurts. We're going to be trying to dig back into this guy. Remember that? We're going to learn a little bit about psychology. It's a tough road to venture down when you're doing it alone. But here we are, man. I have to say, though, I never really kind of talked about this, but fuck it, there's only 5 people watching anyway. I am super proud of that Forgotten Series video that I made, Dove's Journey, with that weird little guy. I'm pretty proud of that. I think it's one of my best works so far. It's incredible. I've listened to it probably 12 to 14 times already, just because it's so good. And I can sense, I'm like, oh my God, it's about to hit a plateau. Onto a new level of what we're supposed to be doing. I really need a long, good chapter to read. As in, with 2 characters interacting. I need to put that in there. Badly. Truly. I could feel it. I'm like, I need Dove to be there with that dude again, and they are just talking about lore and life and the mission and, you know, whatever it happens to, you know, be. I need it. I think that would really enthrall people. So that's something that I have to work on too. You got to keep in mind, those videos, I'm making that script up on the fly. I don't even know what happens next, because I haven't written it yet. I'm just still sitting here like, I don't know what happens. As usual, I leave myself just enough breadcrumbs to kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's some foundation there, but not really well. The concrete's still wet, but it's still like, okay, I can kind of see where I should at least put the building. So there's that kind of stuff going on, and I'm very excited to see what happens. I don't even know what happens. I generally know, something may happen to Dove, but I have no clue what, how, when, why, no idea. We're just kind of going together into the darkness on that one. I'm just super fucking excited to show you just how far this story goes. You're not even gonna believe it. You know, you're sitting there listening to Dove and all that, and you're like, yeah, but like, and somehow, where do the trade wars come up? Like, exactly. It happens 2,000+ years later, but it all is connected. It's all because of each other. You know, we have gods fighting in the astral realm one minute, then all of a sudden we have a dude going into the Forgotten Forest once for the first time and discovering what the Inaku really are. Then you flash forward, you have a dude leading a group of people through the desert to the Promised Land. And you know what I mean? Like, it's insane how this whole story is. And how far-reaching it will be once I fucking can do this all. We're just so very limited. I'm only one man. And I have to fuck around at my job, you know, for 40 hours a week. So I can't, you know, I can't pump it out as fast as I want. It's tough. It's I really don't want to do that shit, but I gotta pay the fucking bills, right? Gotta pay the bills. I have a mortgage. But at any rate, here we are, and we're going to write this shit. Wow, man. I truly think once I fucking finish the trilogy, and then show you the series of videos of my Silmarillion, I think you're going to be astounded at the complexities of this book. I really think you will. I think you're really going to love it, man. It's so cool. I think it's probably one of the best stories I've ever heard. And maybe I haven't heard a whole ton, but I've heard enough. And I think that I got my fucking puke rag. I think I'm very proud of it, and I'm very excited to see just how far-reaching these stories will be. But with that being said, it's time to go. This video is not for everyone. Viewer discretion is advised. Please be kind and rewind this tape when you're done. Because I don't want to fucking do that, because my rewinder doesn't work on my VCR. So please rewind it so I can watch it. You guys remember those days? You got fucking tapes here and stuff. Try to find your song and it's just like, I don't remember where it's at. It's like, if I rewind for 15 seconds, I feel like you have to kind of keep track of that shit. I myself am getting back to it. I'm slowly devolving because I don't like our modern culture. Or our modern technology. It sickens me, in fact. So I'm trying to get away from it. Soon enough, my candelabra will be here, and I will get rid of the electricity in this room, except for this fucking camera. And then I'll have my little candles, and like, okay, so you can see me. There's something about having a flame in the room that we forgot as a people. We don't do anymore. Not just a combustion, not an engine, but a flame. I don't think we realize what that doorway really is. I think we forget. So I'm trying to get flames back in this room. Maybe put some wall sconces with candles in them. Light those bad boys. That'd be dopey as fuck. We don't even know who we are until we see ourselves shimmering on the wall from the dancing candle flame before us. Whatever the fuck that means.